Hey, what's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. So what we're going to do today is hopefully mock up some rock sliders. This is my first time pretty much welding and doing all this, so I didn't go with any DOM tubing because just in case I screw up, I don't want to be out $400 or $500 on steel. So this is just going to be a practice run. Spent $200 on steel. I'd rather lose 200 than $400 or $500. So what we're going to do is I got 3 pieces of 2-inch by 3-inch, and it's a 120 wall. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it to the fender length from right here back to here. Already measured it. It's 92 inches. So we'll get this piece cut up, and then we'll just place it up underneath this rocker. And as you can see, the reason why I'm doing this is I've already gotten some damage to the rocker, and it is really close to making to where I can't open up the door. So that's what I'm going to eliminate with this guy. Hopefully these will hold up long enough so that way I can get pretty good at welding, and then I'll go with some DOM tubing in the future. But what we'll do is get cutting away. Alright, so we got Anthony. He's going to be our helper today. He's going to be cutting these pieces to 92 inches in length. So here we go. Now we can flip it. Alright, now what we'll do is we'll just get it mocked up on the Suburban and see what it will look like.
Alright, so we ended up getting it on, not like welded on, but I just have the jack holding it just to picture what it's like. We have it at a bit of an angle. This is just like the part one of it. We're end up gonna put some tubing going up and around. But yeah.
So we're about 7 inches away from the frame. 6 7/8. Alright, so I think we got the angle that we want. So this will give us plenty of protection for the rocker panel itself. So at least we'll still be able to open and close the door. And then down the road I'll end up putting the tubing from right here, and I'll bring a piece out probably another couple inches and all the way down, so that way it'll protect it a little bit more. But for right now, this is all I'm going to do. Hopefully I can weld decent. We'll see. But this puts us about 8 inches away from the frame, which will be fine. So what we'll do is we'll end up getting this other piece cut, and then I'm going to end up angling this a little bit so it just looks a little better. And I'll do that on the front as well. I'm going to have to shorten up the front just a little bit, because once I start turning it, it is going to hit this rock slider. So I'll probably end up shortening both of them, probably 1 inch or 2 inches, and go from there. Alright, so what we ended up doing is we're going to make this come in at an angle, so that way if I do hit any rocks, it's not just going to hit this square edge. So what we done is we measured it out on both sides. So we're going to make a cut going from right here down diagonally and then straight back this way. And what we'll do is end up pounding this portion, pound it back, and then we'll just weld that seam. Alright, so we got that piece cut off, so now what we're going to do is pound that wedge down, and then when it comes time to start welding it, we'll weld it all together.
Dad,
Do it evenly, there you go, keep going.
this is how big this is.
So now that we got that bent in, what we'll do is we'll cut that wedge off, and then we'll be able to pound it in a little bit farther and get ready to weld that up. Alright, so now that we got the angle that we want, not too bad. We got enough gap that we can actually fill it in. Not too worried about that little section. It's actually not too big. So we'll be able to fill all that in with the weld, grind it down. Yes, I'm a grinder, not a welder. So we'll make it look good after we're done grinding my horrible welds. Alright, so that's how the rock slider is going to sit. Can't do nothing about that. It is what it is. I just don't want to make something worse. So what we ended up doing, so we climbed underneath. I got it to where I want it to be. So what I ended up doing is measuring from the bottom over to the part of the frame that I want to weld to. So I got just over 7 inches on the rear, and then on the front you can see how the frame dips in. I'm just over 10 inches, 10 3/8 I believe. But I'm just gonna make those two. I'm just gonna make those two little cross member deals, and then I'll just fine tune it by grinding it down a little bit to get it to where I want it. As soon as I get it to where I want it, where it's sitting good, then I'll just tack those into place, and then I'll measure out the other 2 supports that will go in the center. So I'm gonna have 4 total. Alright, so we got those pieces cut. As you can see, we got a gap, but that's alright, we'll fill it in. I can grind off just a little bit more on the top, but that's where it's gonna sit. So, oh, there we go. So not too bad. So we'll get that welded onto this bracket, and then we clean that up, do a tack weld. You see we got front as well. That front will go just like that. And yes, I'm gonna put these bars right against this little pinch weld, whatever you want to call it. So hopefully the whole weight of it will be distributed between this whole bottom piece, make it a little bit stronger. But yeah, that's it. Alright, so yeah, I ended up using a strap, hooked it up to the seat belt up there, and right to the frame, the body mount. And it's holding up pretty good. Then you can adjust it from side to side. Don't have to mess with any jacks, so pretty simple. Alright, so I ended up getting those welded on, and that is, I am not the best welder at all. Like I said, I had maybe 10 minutes of practice. It is what it is. It'll hold up. It was getting some good heat penetration. So now that we got the back and front one welded on, just gonna mock it up onto the car, so that way I can measure the other 2 supports that I'm gonna be putting on here, since this is quite a long rock slider, as you can see. So once I get it mounted on the car, I'll measure what I need and go from there. What I can do is with the passenger side, since it's a driver, I can actually match up the front and the back, weld those on just to get it prepped up for the passenger side, because they're both the same length that I need to go from the frame to where I want the rock slider to sit. So probably end up doing that. Alright, so as you can see, I have everything mocked up for the passenger side now. I do have a slight angle, as you can see that. Tried to get it as close as I can. I mean, it's not going to be perfect, but that's alright. So I ended up cutting these pieces the exact same length as this guy right here. I got the right angle, so hopefully they'll be close enough. Alright, so I ended up getting them tacked on. Not the greatest, but it is what it is. And like I said, my welds are not good. I am not a welder. So if you want to throw some comments in there, I don't care. This is my first time welding. It is what it is. This is just practice so I can get good and then buy some good DOM tubing and go from there, but you got to start somewhere. All right, so now that we got these 4 cut, now I need to make an angle on them so that way we can slide right in and we can do 2 more braces on these, both of these. So I'm just gonna cut this at an angle, go from there. Alright, so now that I have all these pieces where they just slide right in, they got a good fitment, so now I just need to clean up all the natural oil and everything that's on these blocks so I can get prepared to tack weld them. Alright, so we ended up getting this rock slider all welded up. Now we're just mocking up the passenger side. We got the angle we want. All we're going to do is just tack weld these 2 extra supports to them, and then we'll get them up there and finish welding it. Alright, so we got the rock slider up there. You can see where I marked where the posts are going to go that connect to the frame. I'll end up sanding that down, grinding it, getting it all smooth. So in the meantime, before we get it welded to the frame, I wipe this down with some acetone, get all the oil and grease off. I'm not worried about this little section right here because we'll have to grind that down a little bit, weld onto it. But I'm not going to be able to paint this section of it while it's on the rig itself, so I'm going to go ahead and take care of that painting and get this all painted up, then we'll weld it to the frame.
Why do you spray paint?
And then Garrett's over here, he's going to be finishing up some welding on this other rock slider. I'm going to weld these ends together. He's taking care of these welds right here. He's a lot better than I am. It is what it is. Alright, so as you can see, I'm starting to do a little bit of coat of paint.
Don't look. You want to get blinded. Get down there. Shut up.
And I'm not too worried about the spatter that's on here, because it's just gonna be covered up anyways. And you get the idea, so I'm gonna go ahead and finish the painting on this and go from there. Alright guys, so now what I ended up doing was I got this welded into place, not fully, but it's gonna be kind of hard to see with the glare. There we go. So this is the rock slider. I mean, I don't have the prettiest of welds at all. See that right there? I just gotta wire brush that. Let me do that real quick so you can see. They're not the prettiest of welds, but it'll hold. Now I just gotta weld up that one and that one. I got this one welded up. And it looks pretty good. So now I'll just continue welding and I'll show you what the aftermath is. Alright guys, so I ended up getting it all welded in. Then finally ran out of some wire, but I put in a gusset at the top and I started putting one in right here, and you can see, boom, ran out of welding wire. So what I'll end up doing is putting another gusset right up top on there and on that back one. But as far as the rock sliders go, not too bad. They look pretty good. As you can see, they come down just a little bit, so I have a little bit of room so when they bend up. But I'm gonna get the other one welded on. I'm not gonna show that process, but I'll show you what the finished product is as soon as I'm done. All right, so we got the rock sliders on, and with this one, when I hit that rock, it must have torqued the body quite a bit right over there. So it does look like it's hanging down more, but sorry, my finger is in the way. And you see there's a little bit more of a gap right here, but that's as far up as I can go. There's pinch welds and stuff right behind there. I didn't bend out, it's fine. But there it is, I got them both installed. Now hopefully this will help me from denting that rocker panel even more. Alright guys, so that's it for these rock sliders. I mean, they're on there. Hopefully they don't fall off. It was my weld job. It is what it is. You gotta learn one way or another, and I figured rock sliders are a good one to do. Other than that, thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it, and I do have another video coming up. This one I've wanted to do for a little bit, so stay tuned and you'll see that one. Thank you. Bye.